91X.
91X, it's Marty here in the studio off Mira Mesa Boulevard. Broadcast from the Hill in TJ, all to Southern California. And if you live in this area or hearing my voice, you know the band Sublime. With us in the studio, very special occasion, Jakob Nowell, son of Bradley Nowell, and new vocalist for Sublime. This is Sublime 3.0. Have you heard that yet?
No, I haven't actually.
Right? Dad was 1, Rome was 2, you're 3.0.
This is Sublime 2.0.
Okay, all right, okay.
That was a totally separate project,
Okay.
This is something where, it's Bud and Eric up there with guys that they grew up with. And it's got nothing to do with me, man. I think there was only really one Sublime, that my dad was the lead singer of Sublime, and that was its own thing. This is the first time since Petaluma in '96 that a band billed just as Sublime has played.
I see.
You know what I mean?
You're
Like
right.
so.
You're right.
So that's what makes it Sublime is having that stamp of authenticity.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with me up there. I'm happy that they asked me to fill in and sing some songs, and I just treat it like a gig like any other.
Yeah, and that has to fill your heart up, right? The fact that you have such connection and lineage and your family to them. That was an easy decision for them, I'm guessing.
Totally. Oh man, without a doubt. Yeah, it's the whole experience has been emotional and challenging, but any reward that's worth getting is going to be challenging to get to, and that's for sure.
Yeah, hard work pays off, right?
Yeah, man, and I think for all of us, the real gift is getting to spend time with one another. And these songs really were just the soundtrack to / the experiences of themselves and their friends in that scene in Southern California at that unique time in the 90s. So getting to play these songs, it's celebratory,
Yeah, it has to feel like a dream come true.
Like
did
a
you ever
nightmare come
envision?
true.
Yeah, right. I bet.
Oh, it's
Did
tough,
you ever
man.
envision this being your destiny one day?
Only my worst nightmares. I feared it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I don't enjoy it now in many senses. It is interesting to see, man, but I always try to be completely genuine and transparent with people, that it isn't, it's a screwy way to grow up. I finally met some other kids that were like sons and daughters of like successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought their experiences would be exactly the same as mine, but it turns out that your mileage may vary. Sometimes you get these kids who their parents are super successful, so they grew up in mansions and, private tutors and DJing at the exclusive nightclubs in Los Angeles at 15 years old. Like, whoa, what? But then I've also had some people where their parents passed away and the rest of the crew completely disowned them and challenged their claim, and they've been couch surfing since they were a teenager. I guess I'd lie somewhere in the middle. There were definitely some benefits to this thing, but mainly it was also very stressful and crazy, and you just constantly, especially with a band like Sublime, it's so personal and it's so family oriented that everybody wants you to do this thing, but in doing it, you're basically inviting yourself to a lifetime of scrutiny and comparison, which I can deal with. It beats digging ditches, you know what I mean? Which I have done. Like, it's funny, we just played Coachella, and for 3 years I did the just stagehand work at Coachella and stagecoach, like just trying, like that was the extent of the opportunities that I was gifted, is that somebody was willing to hire me at Golden Voice to go move tresses around at nighttime as a stoned 17-year-old. And thank God they did. It was actually a blast.
I love your honesty. I love your transparency.
Sorry I'm rambling on here,
You're not.
We're peeking behind the curtains.
I think that's great, and I think that is the honesty that probably is passed down from your mom and from your dad and from family, and that's a beautiful thing to have in life. Some people are guarded. I interview a lot of people, and
man.
They got short one-word answers. Gavin Rossdale, and that's not a good interview.
Not to name names. No, because I do have a lot to say. I'm definitely verbose when it comes to this stuff, and maybe to my own detriment. But the reason why is because I don't want anybody to think that this is an act. Like the character I am is 100% genuinely me, and I wouldn't be doing this if not for the fact that it's bringing together my uncles to play in their band Sublime, which is their project. Every time I start a show, I say, my name is Jakob Nowell and this is Sublime, this behind me, and this as in all the audience. I do it because when I play these shows, I see generations of families smiling and having fun and being brought together, and this current iteration of the band wouldn't have happened without me being this like linchpin piece to bring it together. So in a lot of ways, like my own bands that I start and my creative projects that I'm passionate about, that's not my first time playing Coachella or Red Rocks or The Tonight Show or any of these things. It's not going to come from something that I made myself, which is fine. You know, a lot of people just want the thing, which is totally a fine path to take. But I have to sacrifice that because truly I wouldn't be here, both physically, biologically, but also in the ways career-wise, without my father and the sacrifices that he made first. He's not here getting to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Sublime, like we talked about, like SWR and stuff, like they weren't doing Coachella and, you know, No Values or the Late Night Show or all these other things that we're doing and working with these artists because, you know, something, and I wish it could. I truly, at the bottom of my heart, wish it could have just been like that and been cool and worked. But there's something about it being the people from the scene, the family, keeping it in that old school way that the fans are always going to want to tie into. So in a lot of ways, it has to be me to tie it all together. And I have no problems doing it, or rather, I accept that that's what I'm going to have to do right now. And I think it's a huge honor.
Have you envisioned where this goes past Uncle Eric, Uncle Bud? I mean, this is a very unique situation where you absolutely, let me pay you a compliment, sit in that front spot very, very well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So Uncle Eric, Uncle Bud go on to what they want to do, whether it be raising horses or growing tomatoes or avocados. I think Fallbrook is where.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right. You can take this band at 29 years old into your twilight. I mean, I think about how long I had Sublime my entire life, my kid, because you're firmly planted as the new and longer term piece than what's going on. Has that crossed your mind?
Oh, and that's why it's a huge honor. And yes, it has. That's why I think all of these things that have been happening, all these accolades, this is not my end all be all. That's why it's easy to be like, my end dream wasn't like, oh, I'm going to play Coachella and then I'm going to be happy forever, you know?
Yeah.
These are the groundwork that I'm laying because I believe that the Sublime brand and indeed the entire brand, culture, family, energy of Southern California is just in its baby phase still. I foresee this huge, grand, long dynasty sort of thing, which is why my band's called Jacob's Castle, you know what I mean? Just as a little nod to that. That I want to continue pushing forward for my family to come in the future. You know, I think the groundwork was laid not just by my dad, but by my grandfather.
Yes.
And we've always just been these California people, and that embodies so much interesting, weird, and disparate types of folks and people and sounds, and that's why a band like Sublime naturally incorporated so many different sounds, and why I try to do the same with different modern sounds in Jacob's Castle. So all this stuff put together is to say, like, I believe that what I'm doing right now is trying to be there for people. Every time I'm done playing a Sublime, so I jump into the crowd, even though my team hates when I do it.
No. You can't get hurt.
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
How much money this tour's dependent
No, but it's
on.
worth it. I want to run into the crowd, and I just want to hug as many people as I can, take as many photos as I can, and shake hands and every person on the street and tell them that their matter and their experiences are valid, and this is an important time for them. Because this really is just the beginning. Because those old people who were there with it, not old, but you know, the OGs who were there, the original Sublime, have passed down to their kids, and those kids have had kids, and even some of those kids have had kids now, and they still love it. When I play Sublime shows, it's mainly those young people and those families. So, in a lot of ways, we have this unique feeling and brand where it is family friendly, but at the same time, it's punk rock, and we don't give a fuck. Oh, sorry.
It's all
Shit. I mean, heck, we don't give a hell.
Is not wearing a shirt when you perform on stage a nod to your dad, or is it just hot and you want to do
No, it is
that
totally.
right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because he went shirtless almost every time, right?
I always say, like, you know, it's not a Sublime show until the shirt's off, you know?
Okay. So this is going to sound so corny because whenever anybody asks somebody about their tattoos, you're like, oh, these are mine. I don't want it. But you have two very large tattoos on your chest, and here we go.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Let's see if I can get them up to the mic.
What does she say?
I don't know if the mic heard that.
If she could speak,
What
would she say?
Definitely some wisdom. This is Amaterasu. She's the goddess of the sun. And then this is Tsukuyomi, her brother, the god of the moon. And they used to be really tight, right? But they got into a disagreement at like a party. And so that's why you never see them in the sky at the same time, or at least not too close to each other. Yeah.
It's
Shintoism.
Is it Shintoism? Okay.
Yeah.
Why Shintoism? Why did you choose that?
Growing up, I never felt like I fit into anything, you know?
Yeah.
With my parents, my mom and my stepdad who raised me, it was this crazy, super cool party lifestyle that I just felt totally not involved in. And then I go to my grandparents' house and they were more straight-laced and, you know, regular kind of square white picket fence, and I didn't fit into that either. And so I searched for areas to find something I could connect with. And at the time, there were many children's cartoon stations that were buying up Japanese animated properties for very cheap. Mm-hmm. And now we call anime. And that kind of culture and all of the stuff around it, the weird like outsider subculture of the internet and all of the weird, you know, language and properties that evolved from that became what I connected with. So in a way, that was the first thing I wanted to get on my body to pay homage to that. Everything on my body is all, especially the ones I'm going to get, it's all different deities from different cultures. Growing up, one of the only first times I felt connected and right in my own body is when my grandpa would read to me and I would read to him. And the first thing we'd do was always different mythology stories from all cultures and religions and ideas. So the left half of my body is all moon deities, and the right half of my body is all sun deities, because those are my patrons, the sun and the moon. I'm very split between two extremes in my life, whether it's Jacob's Castle and Sublime or just being up and down and bipolar and weird, or my mom's house or my grandparents' house. I've never been able to, I think we're always searching for that balance in the middle. So the next tattoos I'm going to get is Apollo on this arm and the sun cherry and his sister Artemis.
You have an artist picked out.
Well, Opie's done my whole chest. I'm either gonna have him continue onwards with the whole piece, or if I find the right person who we vibe with. But having Opie do my first tattoos was really meaningful because you know, he's my dad's artist and he's part of the scene, and Long Beach to Ball Stars obviously, and culturally it felt like a coming of age moment. He did it when I turned 28, the age my dad was when he passed away, and when it was decided that I would sit on the Sublime chair for a little bit here.
Right. Your dad used to kick around Pacific Beach a lot with our
That's
friend
where I grew
Kevin
up, actually.
Zinger. Yeah. Tell me about Pacific
Kevin,
Beach.
yeah.
Tell me
man,
about
it's
Pacific
so
Beach
cool,
and your
dude.
days in San Diego.
Everyone working on our team is people that, you know, knew my dad and my uncles back in the day. That's why this is what it is, and we're pushing it in the way that it is. It's not this, you know, thing that's being controlled by outside forces that had nothing to do with Sublime back in the day. These are people that I personally have a familial relationship with, and that same goes for my uncles and people that we endorse. And Kevin Zinger, our manager, was one of the first people to book Sublime in San Diego back in the day. And our other manager, Joe Escalante, you know, the Vandals, like,
heard of them.
Yeah. Maybe once or twice, you know, just it's so wild, you know, to have it all tied together like that. And it's so funny that they were doing stuff here, and then I ended up down here because my mom's from San Diego originally. And so we moved here after my dad passed away.
Yeah.
And after a few different moves, and San Diego always really felt like home. But and growing up, I've just it's like the place I go on vacation to, even though I just live in Long Beach. I'm like, if I want to get away for a little bit, I just drive down to mom's house in San Diego. You know.
How did your mom and dad meet?
Oh man, she has such a great story about this. I don't want to butcher it, but the short end is she had come to some shows or something. They bumped into each other, whatever. And then I'm pretty sure they bumped into each other randomly at like a nightclub. Like my mom was going out this one night and her friends didn't want to go and she almost didn't go out, and then she bumped into my dad or whatever. And then I remember they spent all this time together, but they never even, it was like almost like this kind of cute, like innocent, idyllic story or whatever. And my mom drove with him up to Long Beach. I think that she was like supposed to be going up as far as like NorCal, and she was going to be seeing some other dude or something, but they just hit it off. And so she spent all this time with him in Long Beach. And I remember she said that they went to Michael Happelt's house, the other member of Sublime. And my dad was like, yeah, we're going to see my manager right now. They drove to his pad, and he was like, what kind of music are you into? And they start just going through all these different vinyl and CDs and stuff. And so their love just was immediately that clicking on a musical level. Yeah. And I think that when people connect with something, artistic. For me, like I said, it was all this interesting like Japanese stuff growing up, but it was also a lot of different music that tied together all these weird influences. Like that's why you see all these cool sorts of folks at the Sublime shows. I think it captures that uniqueness and that weirdness of Southern California culture from throughout the different ages, and you still see it there. They're still alive today.
Yeah, or the Spanish use, the ska,
Totally.
the horns, the rock, I mean, the punk. There's no doubt about it. And the sample of bong hits. It all ties the
You
root
need
together.
samples of bong hits. Frankly, you need it.
Is there one record that your mom and dad shared that your mom would put on and say, this was our jam? Can you think of one?
Probably too many to count.
Right. But is there one that stuck with you or hit you and you, because I think about how there were albums my parents shared together. When they come on, it takes me there.
Yeah.
I don't know that there is one, but I
Growing
ask.
up, I definitely, I don't think it's any one album in particular because it was just so much. It was so like multi-genre. And that's where I really see the scene as being multi-genre. There's definitely like Johnny Osborne songs like In Your Eyes or Ika Mouse songs or I'm really only naming like the reggae stuff. Yeah, like
Is that what was going through the house most of the time growing up?
there was a lot of that,
reggae music,
but also like a lot of punk rock and stuff too. You know,
a mixed bag.
yeah, mixed bag for sure.
Understood. I have really enjoyed getting some time with you. We had a video.
Yeah, sorry, I know I
thing.
kind of veered off our path here, but
No.
I'm just so excited and passionate right now about where not only I'm at my career, but where the scene is at and the potential and the possibilities. Like we just had a band in that sound play a song on the late night show. Like for me to, even though I was involved with it, I feel like objectively looking down, I'm just so excited for everybody and all the other bands that are happening right now. And you know, really a big ambition of mine is to let people know that Skunk Records is here and it's alive. And this is what the new era means to me, is that Skunk Records, I want to bring back and revitalize and work with all of the amazing bands that I see in my local Southern California scene, like my buddy Ethan Salter's band, or my buddy Noah Weiland, or my buddies at Shuss. You know, these are all, and there's so many more to name. I wish I could name them all in the air right now, but it's a multi-genre, just let's have fun kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's been waiting and laying dormant for far too long, and that's how I'd like to use any and all success with Sublime, is to boost up that scene and bring it into the next era. So let's go.
Well, there's trust in family.
Yeah.
And you can feel comfortable in that and feel peace in that. The future, you guys got the song Feel Like That on the radio right now.
We do.
All over the place. You work
Everybody's
a stick figure,
feeling like that.
and the sample is some cutting room floor stuff from your dad. Is that exactly right?
Yeah.
And you
Put your
sampled
hands
through.
together because I'm in the studio.
Yeah, it's beautiful how you guys performed it on the Tonight Show. How was that experience?
It was
by
awesome.
The way?
I said, put your hands together because I'm in the studio, and everyone was clapping.
Yeah.
And then I was like, put your hands together because I'm in the booty hole. And then they were like, well, and I stared right at Jimmy. And I was like, and then they censored it. Jimmy was into it, dude.
Yeah,
he was into it.
America can't handle booty holes.
They can't
Southern
handle being in the
California,
booty hole.
all day.
Booty hole all day, dude. Yeah, it's not butt rock anymore. It's booty hole rock.
I'm killing it with the cliche questions, but
No, I
there's
love
so
it.
much to know about you, Jacob, still, and as you will become part of our lives and ingrained in our music libraries. Artists you would like to work with, has that crossed your mind? Have you met somebody, whether it be roadieing for Coachella or headlining Coachella or the No Values tour?
No, that's a big part of moving forward with Sublime, you know? I always tell people, you know, we're not just going to come back and like, here's new Sublime material. It's just so corny when a band comes back out of nowhere and it's like, remember all that music you liked? Well, here's just a completely new record that you're going to never live up to, you know, what it was when you capture that moment. And what you need to do is create an entirely new moment that is separate from that. And the way that I see us doing that is taking all this old stuff that was on the cutting room floor, remixing unreleased things that fans had never heard, but not just releasing it ourselves, utilizing it as a platform to collaborate with other artists that have been influenced by Sublime. First, it was the reggae scene. Obviously, that's such a huge scene of music right now that we had to, you know, and we felt like we wanted to work with the flag bearer of that scene, which we see as Stick Figure Man. You know, they've just been killing it, and the fans love him. But that's just one element. They've taken one path line of Sublime sound that they have that chill kind of element, so there's Feel Like That. Next, we want to do a punk rock song, a hip hop song, a completely dubbed out weird song with someone left field, you know, who you wouldn't even realize. I think my top picks would be like, we want to work with Turnstile, would be a sick, you know, let's do like a punk rock collab song. Someone from Long Beach like Vince Staples doing like on a hip hop track together would be so cool. 100 Gex, they're just such an amazing production duo and utilizers of such interesting sounds. And I think that would be so cool to do a collaborative song with them as well. And really the list is endless. Like those are bigger names or upper tier names, like anyone even down to the lower stuff. And if it doesn't work with Sublime, I'd love to work with people with Jacob's Castle as well.
Yeah.
And then just tying it under all that big flag of Skunk Records and telling people like, hey, this is us. This is our scene. This is Southern California, alternative rock music. And it's multi-genre and everybody's invited and welcome. And if you come to the show, we're all going to set stuff on fire and jump into the water.
Jakob Nowell, thank you. Jacob's Castle, Sublime.
Yes.
2.0. I'll follow you on that.
Let's go.
All right. Thank you for your time from 91X. We appreciate you so much.
Dude, I love you. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm staring at a picture of what looks like Nickelback. Look at this photograph. They have the photograph.
Yeah. Any chance we get a little acapella of Babylon that you did with your grandfather?
Oh, by the rivers of Babylon, as we sat down, and there he wept when he remembered Zion. Oh, let the wicked
Beautiful.
carry us and wake up the
Jakob Nowell, you're always
impromptu.
welcome here at 91X, man, and thank you for your time. So glad you came in, and we'll see you many more times in the future. The door's always open.
Love you guys. Meet the press, then press the meat.
91X.